Learning how to use a knife while you are standing in the MasterChef kitchen for a cooking challenge and the time has already started. Or learning about cheat codes as the game has already begun. Or learning how to use whatever this is while you are standing on the combat ground and your boss has already instructed you to attack are a few ways you can witness existential crisis firsthand. The blood running through your body, faces an opponent, panic. So can we conclude that it's always best to learn something before applying it? Well, for these cases, I think it's best to do some homework. But is there a situation where you can learn a skill while you are being tested to apply it? A coding interview. I always thought I knew JavaScript until I gave an interview recently for a front-end developer role. I was given 20 minutes to solve this problem. Before I could arrive at the correct solution, though, I made some mistakes. The world today is full of things like self-care, self-love, and self-confidence. But let's try something different today. Self-shame, where I would share the mistakes I made while coding this problem, and should I be ashamed of myself for making those mistakes? When I read the problem statement, I could feel like my confidence started dripping away immediately, and I started reading it again and again from different corners. So I regained my consciousness and I took the first steps by defining a function and arguments. So in order to traverse through the keys of the object, I wrote this, which can be classified as the first mistake that I made. It's not even a mistake, it makes no sense. Had I been on the other side of the window, literally windows, I would forget about Adele and not go easy on me. I'm trying to spread an object in an array literal. Luckily, I noticed and changed it to this, but still, it's not gonna do anything. So not only was I panicking, but I was also judging myself. So I think it's right to say that I was the defendant, the judge, and the defense attorney, because who says you're not worth it? After a few seconds of thinking while keeping calm, the first draft I came up with looked like this. An embarrassing mistake I did here was flat. 2 years of coding in JavaScript and I never once checked the documentation that flat is available on arrays and not objects. The funniest thing is that I have never once used flat, but I knew vividly that it's used to flatten arrays. So I thought that maybe I could take out nested object keys using this method. Now I think I got lucky here because the interviewer wasn't probably looking at what I was doing, as I could hear him speaking to his coworker about something in the background. So I just used console logging continuously only to find that the method isn't available on objects. By this time, I figured out that I would have to use recursion, and this was the second draft that I came up with. Here I ran into an infinite loop and I realized that neither am I putting a base case, nor am I returning anything from the function. So I corrected that and realized another thing, that this condition over here is wrapping 3 mistakes at once. I am trying to check whether the key is a string here, but that is redundant because JS keys can only be strings or symbols, but we are ignoring symbols here. Also, if you look closely, am I really comparing the type of the key? I am comparing the type of value and not the key. And the third thing is, why the type? It achieves nothing. I should just be comparing the key with the property that I want to match against. And I do want to mention that at this point, I was so nervous, but somehow collected. And the interviewer hasn't interrupted once. So after making some changes, this is what it looked like. Things started to make a little sense, and I also realized that I was carrying these worthless lines of code. Since I'm already changing the value of the property once I find it, there is no need of doing this. And also in case of recursion, I was replacing the argument object with the nested object, so potentially destroying a crucial piece of data. And finally, I came up with this code which worked for the test cases which were provided to me. Now I'm pretty sure that I haven't handled a few other things here, like what if the value is an array, but I wasn't provided any such test case and some relevant dynamics, so I avoided to complicate this any further. And that's it. Hashtag self-shaming. I was satisfied that my solution worked, but at the same time pretty disappointed. I couldn't pretend anymore that I know JavaScript and I can nail an interview. Have you ever faced such challenges? Share your interview story in the comments. Let's do self-shaming together. Thanks for watching.